Browns continuing preparations for the Jaguars. And Mary Kay, we heard from Joe Flacco today, yet another indication that he is the likely starter on Sunday at Cleveland Browns Stadium. What did you hear from Joe today that stood out?
Well, one of the things that he talked about was the fact that, he does feel like he will be even more acclimated this week. And that's really great because, he was just getting thrown out there last week, not knowing, half of his players, not having worn pads, all of those things. So he's got a game under his belt, and I just think he feels a lot more comfortable this week.
And Ashley, when you hear him talk, you can hear that calm in his voice that guys talk about. You can kind of feel like why Kevin Stefanski would get along with him, honestly. But, he sounds like a guy that knows what he's doing, has been a starting quarterback, and kind of just knows how to step in and almost own a room.
Yeah, you stole the metaphor I was going to use, Dan, which I guess it's more of a comparison, but he is very Kevin Stefanski-like, I think, in his attitude up there, how calm, cool, collected he is. But yeah, I think that's part of the benefit of bringing a guy like Joe Flacco to this team at this stage of the season, late in the season when you're trying to make a playoff push, and a lot of your pass catchers have already had to gel with 3 different quarterbacks. So I definitely think you just get kind of a taste of what the Joe Flacco experience was like for years in Baltimore when he was trying to take them and actually winning a Super Bowl down there.
Now, the other quarterback in this matchup, Mary Kay, is potentially Trevor Lawrence. He was back on the practice field today, so he is starting to make some of that progress that would make you think he's going to at least try to give it a go on Sunday.
Yeah, it's so hard to believe. When I watched that in real time, I thought, there is no way this guy is getting back on the field in 6 days. But he's had almost a Myles Garrett miraculous turnaround where he went out and he practiced on a limited basis today. He had a white sleeve on the ankle, but when you're practicing on Thursday and the game isn't until Sunday, there's a chance that you might try to play at least some. Once again, I would probably maybe platoon him and C.J. Beathard. I don't know if they would do that or not. But the Browns, they say they're licking their chops to play a quarterback that might be a little gimpy.
And Ashley, look, Trevor plays. He's been tough. He's played through things. Earlier this year, he had a knee injury and still turned around and played on a Thursday night. So he's got this reputation as kind of that tough quarterback. So it wouldn't be shocking if he got it there and played, but it would still be a little bit like, wow, that was an impressive turnaround.
Yeah, he has not missed a game yet. Now, granted, he hasn't been around as long as a guy like, say, Joe Flacco, but I do still think that's noteworthy. And I'm very curious, though, because we know high ankle sprains are like famously the worst kind of ankle sprain that you can have. But again, we've talked about this plenty of times now. These guys have so much at their disposal in terms of what they can do as they're rehabbing throughout a week from one game to the next. There's a lot that can be accomplished, and things can look very different from, in this case, Monday night to a Sunday afternoon. So yeah, I think it's, for him, it seems like it's trending in the right way, the fact that he's even out there.
All right, let's talk about the guys who get after the quarterback. Let's talk sacks. Jim Schwartz talked today, Mary Kay. He talked about the team's lack of sacks, and I thought it was interesting because this team loves to harp on pressures, but, you mentioned this to me. It seemed like Jim Schwartz was more than willing to talk about the lack of sacks.
Yeah, one of the first things that he said when he talked to us today was lamenting the fact that for the last 2 weeks they have not had a sack from their defensive line. And that's just not how they're built. That's not what this is all about. By now, they should have at least 2 guys that are gunning for double-digit sacks, and they only have 1, and that's Myles with his 13. Nobody else has more than 3.5, and that's just really not the way that this whole thing is set up. So, he's starting to feel it, Jim Schwartz is, and he's putting the call out to his guys for more sacks.
And one of those guys, Ashley, you had a chance to talk to him, Zadarius Smith. He's had a disappointing year from a sack production standpoint, although he has been a little bit of a pressure monster, but he just hasn't been getting to the quarterback.
Yeah, he acknowledged getting those pressures, but he's admitted there's been sacks he's felt like he missed. He said there were at least 2 in that loss against the Broncos he felt like he missed, and that he's been missing them. He knows he has to be better. He knows that he needs to get more sacks. I thought he was very honest for the short little interview that we did with him, and knowing that those haven't been coming for him at the rate he would like. He said he feels like he maybe needs one more step on some of those plays to get to the quarterback. So I'm really interested to kind of see if they can troubleshoot that as a defensive line in general, but Z in particular.
And just a couple quick notes. Denzel Ward, again, still at practice today. Amari Cooper continues to work through the concussion protocol. He did not practice. We'll have full coverage of the day here in Berea at cleveland.com/Browns.